there is this public outcry. But then the things that will follow beyond now, because I just believe that setting her apart for further investigation is just the beginning of the matter. I'm sure there may be some more, some more people that are powerful people who are connected with this art of corruption, because it's so brazen that she could write with her letterhead directing the Accountant General of the Federation to honor that.
All right, pending confirmation as to the authenticity of the alleged memo that is in circulation in the media, how does it all look to you? Some say for a woman who is quite vocal and frankly intelligent, it was an amateur, some would even go as far as saying a dumb way to steal. I mean, there is no airport in Kogi. If we're also to believe the memo, how would you explain the rationale of spending more on logistics just to dispense a token to a group of vulnerable people? Your thoughts?
Well, personally, I think everything and anything is possible. One of the things that really inspires action in a case like this would be like the strong men that are behind you. Because sometimes we've actually seen like out of corruption done so brazenly, just like the predecessor that is currently being interrogated. We could remember the days of COVID-19 when it was alleged that up to about 627 million were spent daily in feeding school children that were at home. So sometimes when you really want to look at like issues happening within Nigeria space, it may not necessarily be rational. What people are actually looking at is, do you really have the backup of powers that be? Some powerful men in the Asoro that can give you assurance, that you are covered. And that, we've seen with many politicians, once it is that Mr. President is not bulging, like we know of one of the ministers, that is being alleged, that is still allegedly serving, that was not enough to remove him, even though that was reasonably expected. But once you have the backing of Mr. President or some powers, anybody can, get along with the media fanfare, as they always refer that, and nothing happens.
Okay, let me just jump off the admonition from the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, cautioning her to stop insulting Nigerians, saying she failed to deny that she approved the funds. If I remember correctly, from her statement, she said it's just detraction. Again, based off this and every other scenario we can think of, is there an explanation that could justify any of this controversy? Can she explain herself away from based off what we have on the media, or do you expect some clarity and an exoneration of the minister?
At the moment, and I want to align myself with the sage himself, the senior advocate of Nigeria. It's just like trying to abuse the sensibility of Nigerians. How come you are in charge? You are like the chief executive officer if you're a minister in charge of your ministry. And if you even want to come and tell us that, something like this wants to happen and you are not even aware, then that clearly confirms that you are not in charge. And the question would be, why will it be your own ministry? Why not any other ministry? But of course, the essence of the investigation will be to tell us more, to reveal more. But the very fact that this whole thing is allegedly intended to be diverted into a private account, completely contravenes, extant laws. Public funds should have no destination with private accounts. It's completely uncalled for.
I know this all is allegedly awaiting results of the investigation, but people are making connections already. I'm curious, don't you find it disturbing that the EFCC is investigating Edu's predecessor, Sadiya Farouk, and one other person, this time not smaller money, but about 37.1 billion naira. What's your thoughts? Is there some legit concern that there is a connection between these cases?
Well, I do not really see a connection between the predecessor and the successor, being that, they served two different, entire different administration without any form of continuity. But what I see more is the essence of really creating that ministry and even sustaining it. Do we really need a ministry for like humanitarian crisis? That's more or less like institutionalizing that. We already have agencies, right, that should be able to cater for that. But at that moment where President Muhammad Buhari just felt like, okay, let's have a humanitarian agency. I mean, some concerned Nigerians felt that this is going to be like a way to institutionalize diversion of funds because an agency is well enough to contain such issues. Especially matters you don't want to have like recurrent. Must we always have the IDPs? Must we always have vulnerable Nigerians? Why can't we even have like maybe ministries that maybe if like SME caters up to 90% of the economy? However, building a ministry around that, why institutionalize human crisis? Why institutionalize displaced persons? And that's what we're seeing. That's what is clearly revealing that the intentions of creating such a ministry was not really intended for the best of Nigerians, just like...
But you just said yourself that the accusation was from a previous administration, that of Muhammadu Buhari. That's that allegation for Farouk, and this one is Tinubu's administration. These are two different men. Some would argue that, I mean, you will consider the possibility that there was something they were doing right that encouraged the new presidents to, you know, continue with that ministry. But we'll focus on that some other day. In the context of time, I'd like to ask you, the instruction to the EFCC to conduct what the federal government describes as a thorough investigation into all aspects of the financial transaction. This is not the first time we're hearing conduct a thorough investigation. What's your optimism level that we will get a proper conclusion with this matter?
Well, I think it's getting more interested, and there's an elephant in the room. I mean, when you have a situation where you are probing like a previous administration by just hooking on the servants, like we've seen, like they embattled the former CBN governor and now the former minister. And I just hope that maybe President Tinubu could perhaps muster courage to really get to the elephant in the room, the key people that actually ran that administration. And those ones were just like the boys of that particular administration. If that kind of courage, otherwise, I mean, when it really gets to like a point where you interrogate, investigate, and then it still has to like come to a corner that you don't want to explore, then certainly that matter becomes stored. And that has become like the kind of the bane of like such kind of interrogations in Nigeria political sphere.
All right, Chukwuma, thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate the insights you've provided.
You're welcome.
The Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja has declared the prolonged detention of a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, without trial as a flagrant violation of his fundamental rights. The court also slammed a 100 million naira fine against the federal government and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. It also restrained the federal government and its agents from rearresting or detaining Emefiele without an order of the court. The judgment was given in a fundamental human rights suit filed by the former CBN governor following his prolonged detention in custody of the Department of State Services. You're watching Nigeria Tonight on News Central. Coming up, Plateau's Christian leaders urge government to prescribe militias as terrorists. We'll be discussing that after the break. Do stay with us.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every race, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live. Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting. And this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
If you've just joined us, you're watching Nigeria Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu suspends Humanitarian Affairs Minister from office. Christian leaders in Plateau urge government to proscribe militia as terrorists. Healthcare professionals call for brain drain reversal. Let's tell you that Christian faithful in Plateau State have called on major state actors to do everything possible to enthrone peace in Plateau State as a matter of urgency. The call came from Christians from different denominations under the Christian Association of Nigeria when they staged a peaceful march to the government house to present their demands before Governor Caleb Mutfwang. News Center's Chizoba Anyowe was part of this peace march and now reports.
Christians on the plateau, dressed in black, defied work and the early morning cold in the capital city of Jos to stage a protest against a series of violent attacks that have rocked some parts of the state in recent time. Most recent is the Christmas Eve attacks that left scores of people dead, with many property destroyed, leaving many others with various degrees of injuries in different hospitals. Governor Mutfwang and his wife, Helen, received the protesters at the government house, promising to use all available resources to end the insurgency.
We will not continue to weep. We will not continue to weep. We will not continue to weep. Our lamentations will not be in vain. Okay. We can only cry in our closets to God. Yes, sir. But we will not retreat. Yes, sir. We will not back down. Yes, sir. Our spirits will not be broken. Yes, sir.
Led by the leadership of the Christian Association of Nigeria on the Plateau, the Christian faithful were unanimous in their call for peace in the state.
We also called for the construction of food banks which were burnt down with farm produce and the communities attacked. By implication, if the survivors return to their communities, there will be no food left. Unless there is timely intervention, the people will face hunger and starvation. We appeal to our governments and to all nations of the world to come to assist the women and children who I am standing for. Enough is enough.
As the government accepted defeat in the fight against these bandits and terrorists, are we now going to live in perpetual fear?
It is hoped that this new call will enthrone peace and security of lives and property in the state. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowe.
A short break now, and when we come back, we have more stories, to stay with us.
direct response to live happenings, factual content as truthful reporting is at the heart of our responsibility. This is the site of where the building collapse happened at about 4-5 yesterday evening. I am Bettina Onwili. This is News Central.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a look at the protest by Christian leaders in Plateau State. We're joined by the chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Plateau State, Reverend Father Polycarp Lubo. Thank you very much for joining us. What is in a name, some would ask? What would be the impact of proscribing militia as terrorists? Because that was one of the demands that you put to the governor.
Yeah, not only to the governor, even to the presidency, because the Fulani that we know, they are very friendly, and unfortunately they have been profiled. But now they are becoming an endangered species, and because of this, the killing has been there for over 20-something years, and nothing has been done about it. And this is getting too barbaric, and it's uncalled for. But this one that has happened, we know there are some machineries that have been brought, and these machineries definitely we have to tag them as bandits. They are terrorists, ransacking 25 villages within 2 days. You could just imagine the number of IDPs. You could just imagine the destruction. You can just imagine the people that have been killed. No ordinary human being can do such a thing that has clear conscience that he has fear of God. So we demand that these people should be treated as such. Because you cannot negotiate with a terrorist because he's not ready for negotiation. But if they have something that they want to negotiate, why can't they come out? The terrorists do not have faces. You can't see them.
All right.
If the government
sorry to interrupt. I'm trying to consider time. The report that my colleague brought wasn't as extensive, so I want you to help us expatiate on the relief situation, emergency situation. I think you called for a timely intervention for over 15 residents displaced and their homes burned. On the one hand, some would say it implies a laxity on the part of government and relevant agencies. But what is the reality of the situation that warranted your action?
Yeah, what warranted our action actually is because we are calling them to put a stop to this carnage and this wanton destruction of life and property. And why we have to go on protest is to let the federal government and the state government to know that they have a duty or responsibility to protect life and property. And this thing has not been done for over 22 years. It started since 2001. Now, what we have on ground is that the people, about 25 villages have been ransacked. People were killed over, it is estimated that 160 people. In 25 villages, just imagine the number of IDPs. And these people are homeless now. Some are in their relatives' house. Some are still in IDP camps in various locations. And we call that the NEMA, that's the relief material, who should come in to assist immediately to help to ameliorate the problems these people are facing.
How urgently is this required, and what has been the response? It's been a few weeks. What is the response on the ground at the moment?
Yes, generally there are a lot of NGOs that have gone into support, and there are a lot of churches. Like now, the church is making arrangements to quickly get some foodstuff and get it to them. And we also have the NEMA. They are on ground too. They are making adequate arrangements to see that they help. Because the vice president came himself to see for himself and condole the people with what has happened. So they are making arrangements, but this thing needs to be done quickly, particularly their foodstuff and where to lay their heads that they need to keep themselves warm, because Plateau can be very, very cool, and particularly at this moment.
I want to go back to the call on the government and relevant agencies, particularly security agencies, to ensure that criminals responsible for the attacks are apprehended, prosecuted, and brought to justice. Unfortunately, as it sounds, this is not the first time the Plateau is being attacked. What gives you the confidence that this will get maybe expedited action different from other similar cases in the state? Definitely
with the presence of the new government, we could see swift action as to cope the crisis. Already, some of the people have been apprehended, but the problem is we want to see justice be meted out. Unlike before, once the criminals have been apprehended, nothing is being done to them. So this time around, we are going to sit down and watch what can be done, whether they will be able to trace those bandits or terrorists that are coming, because they are hired men that they come to do this destruction. So some of them have been spotted out. So far, that's what we've had. But I don't have the authentic report as regards to who and who was caught. But now we know that there are people who are under the police custody. I hope they will not let them go until they are brought to book. And some of those people who are able to escape, we are able to give the names of those involved, and they've seen them. So now it is left for the security men to take a swift action.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong. You did make a strong appeal about the establishment of North Central Development Commission, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. You said this has become necessary as a result of the attacks in the area. So my question really is, how will such an agency succeed where the federal government, the state government, and other related agencies have failed?
Now, we see for now, you see what happens in Niger Delta. They really work hard and handle them. We're not saying we are going to have a 100% solution, but at least it can give you 70% if the North Central Development Commission would be created, just like Niger Delta, and also that of the Northeast Central Development. They are working hard, and because people are displaced from their homes, who is going to provide those shelter? Who is going to help these people with farm implements? People have been ransacked from their village, from the God-given land. So with this creation of the North Central Development Commission is going to concentrate more on the people rather than always looking for help from different places where it is not available. But bringing that will be closer to the people where they can have access to those relief materials and to ameliorate some of the problems they're facing.
All right, there's so much to talk about, but we're out of time. So I'll just say thank you very much for your submission tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
The Police Service Commission has announced that recruitment for constable position within the Nigerian police will begin on January 8, 2024. At a time when the call for improved policing is getting high, the Commission says the recruitment process will be robust, transparent, and efficient while upholding the highest degree of professionalism and integrity. News Centre's Ni Omoni captures the story.
The recruitment initiative covers the entire federation. It includes both physical and credential screening of 30,000 successful applicants. This screening begins 6 weeks after the conclusion of the application period.
I like police since from my childhood because I like that job and I want to serve my country.
If God grace I get this job, seriously, I will make my people proud and I will fight for my people.
In what way? When you say fight for your people, in what way?
Yes, fight for them in justice.
As stated by Dr. Solomon Arashe, the chairman of the Police Service Commission, thorough background checks tops the priorities during the recruitment exercise.
You don't bring in people to come into your system to come and bridge it in terms of, information gathering and all those type of things. So we want to make it a bit rigorous this time, without being too intrusive. We must also be careful that people, they have their own, this thing. But to look at it on the balance of scale, are these people, are they trainable?
Arashe, however, laments the lack of interest shown by some citizens of the nation who did not take advantage of the chance to enlist in the Nigerian police force.
The enthusiasm to belong, to join the police force is waning. So all we are saying is that, you see, if you don't come in now, you are creating a vacuum in the future. In the next 10, 15 years, you are going to create a vacuum where you now start seeing yourself as being victimized or, by saying, we are not on the table.
While the police department is committed to addressing excessive use of force by officers, experts recommend strengthening oversight and accountability measures through reforms, training and retraining of current and future staff to build trust between law enforcement and communities they serve.
They need to improve on their service delivery. And when persons are being given opportunities to work, if they are not good enough, they should be replaced with quality leaders that can actually police, that understands the law and they are working in line with the law. And culprits should be brought to book. If you have failed in carrying out your work of policing, you should be disciplined.
And so what it means, policing should be a career, just like teachers. So when you have all manners of people getting into the teaching profession, they are not committed to it because they just want to be able to earn salary, then anything goes. The same thing with policing also. So you have people who are neither motivated by the need to work in law enforcement or any other thing, but because they just want to get in there and survive.
At the conclusion of the recruitment portal period, a total of 416,270 constables applications were submitted. Of those, 315 and 65,000 were for general duty positions and 101,205 were for specialist cadres. As screening of applicants continues, it is anticipated that recruits will uphold the highest standard of professionalism and ethical behavior upon hire. Additionally, the Commission intends to provide dedicated telephone lines for public access to the Situation Room throughout the duration of the screening process. In Lagos for News Central, I am Ni Omani.
Following the rise in kidnapping and armed robbery attacks along the Naka Road in Beno State, where several travelers have been attacked and stripped of their belongings, the traditional ruler of Naka community has called on the state government to order an intense military operation to dislodge the bandits and kidnappers from their enclaves. This followed a visit by the special advisor to the Beno State governor on security and internal affairs, accompanied by hundreds of hunters and members of the state's vigilante corps.
3 days military onslaught in the land to drive these people away, as I mentioned earlier, either by area, surveillance and bombardment, or land incursion, to make sure that all their territories and what we call the enclaves are completely shelled.
As you are aware, the past few days, there was a resumption of criminalities on the Naka Road, where people were kidnapped, as we heard, and a woman killed. We intend to occupy this road to see that these people do not perpetrate that threat. And it is said that if you want to embark on a journey, you will seek the blessings of the land. And so, as the Tegwe, Tenagi, who is the custodian of culture and tradition of this area, I feel to come and seek his consent that we are in his land and we want to be operating in his land.
This is a message that we are sending to the hoodlums who has been tolerating this road, that we are on ground, and I don't think we are going back to it.
Staying in Beno State, the Supreme Court in Nigeria has dismissed the appeal by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its candidate in the state governorship election, Titus Uba. The Governorship Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal in Abuja had affirmed the election of Hyacinth Alia as governor of Beno State. Uba, who was not pleased with the judgments, approached the Apex Court for redress. Alia of the All Progressive Congress was declared the winner of the state's governorship election in March 2023. Alia, who is a Catholic priest, was also given a certificate of return by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
We're quite excited. It's 100% justice delivered. And the victory is for all the good people of Beno State. God leads, and God is again demonstrates every day, that justice is justice. I'm quite pleased that it's come to this point. It's going to ginger us some more to do the great things for the state. Actually, it's quite a high time for everyone to come on board with us, for the progress, for the development of Beno State. So it is a great win for all the great people of the state. We're very excited about it.
In the meantime, the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the Ebonyi State governorship election appeal to a date that will be communicated to parties. Justice John Okoro reserved the judgment after parties adopted their briefs of argument on Monday. The Court of Appeal Lagos had earlier affirmed the election of Francis Waifuru as the duly elected governor of Ebonyi State. In a unanimous decision, the three-member panel led by Justice Jumai Sanki dismissed the appeal filed by Chukwuma Odi of the People's Democratic Party. The panel also resolved all the 5 issues raised against the appellant and dismissed the appeal for lacking in merit. About 6 local government areas in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, will be excluded from the nation's 2023-2024 National Demographic and Health Survey. This is as the nation's National Population Commission says that it has commenced the exercise, which is expected to help collate data that will be useful for planning, resource allocation, and resource management in the state. News Center's Umaru Kirawa reports.
With over 200 million in population, Nigeria's population is said to be increasing daily. While government has been unable to conduct a comprehensive census, despite the exercise holding 17 years ago, this has affected planning tremendously and the efficient management of scarce resources.
Having a census in a country will actually give us the accurate data for us to plan for the healthcare system, to plan for educational system, to plan for our transportation, and a lot of other very, very important activities in the country. So I want to actually use this forum to appeal to the federal government to see reasons and then come back and then complete the census which was started by the last administration.
With Borno State government being the worst hit by the Boko Haram insurgency and facing unique challenges in terms of access to healthcare and its population dynamics, Nigeria's government spoke to newsmen in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, saying it will conduct a demographic and health survey in the state.
The data to be collected on the field concerns the population demographics and health, meaning that data will be collected on child and adolescent health, maternal mortality, maternal fertility, maternal health, reproductive health, breastfeeding, child abuse, and gender violence. All this will be collected.
The exercise will be expected to provide extensive insight into the state's health sector, helping policymakers to plan for future interventions.
The ones that we are not doing work with include one, Chibok, Magweri, Abadan, Mobile, Marte and Guzamana. These are the AGS where this has not been conducted. And the reason for that is that these are flashpoints for securities, and they don't want to involve a lot of military logistics in order to carry stuff in this.
The National Population Commission, however, reveals that the exercise will not be conducted in 6 local government areas of the state. In Maiduguri for News Central, I am Umaru Kirawa.
You're watching Nigeria Tonight. Still to come, healthcare professionals call for brain drain reversal. We have details after the break. Join us again.
Direct response to live happenings. Factual content as truthful reporting is at the heart of our responsibility. This is the site of where the building collapse happened at about 4-5 yesterday evening. I am Bettina Onwili. This is News Central.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
Good to know you're still with us. The National Inland Waterways Authority says the boat accident at Umuamuanam in Anambra West local government area of Anambra State occurred because the wooden engine rammed into a snag on the water channel and capsized. The authority disclosed that about 50 passengers were on board, adding that 8 persons were confirmed dead at the scene, while 38 others were rescued immediately. While confirming the incident in a statement, General Manager, Corporate Affairs of the National Inland Waterways Authority, Jibril Daudau, revealed that the incident involved a passenger boat traveling from Ida in Kogi State to Onitsha in Anambra State. He also revealed that upon the receipt of the SAD report, relevant personnel from the Marine Department were deployed for rescue, recovery, and proper investigation. And to one of our headline stories tonight, medical experts have urged the Nigerian government to invest in reversing medical brain drain to cut down on the amount lost to medical tourism yearly. Every year, Nigeria loses both personnel and hundreds of billions to countries abroad, leaving the country's health sector at a crossroad. News Centre's Adishewa Odushoga reports.
Every year, Nigeria budgets only about 5% of the country's total budget to the health sector, falling short of the 15% commitment specified in the 2001 Abuja Declaration. However, the country spends over 600 billion naira yearly on medical tourism. And in 2022 alone, the country lost over 900 medical laboratory scientists to human capital flight. What this means is that while the cost of medical tourism grows significantly, investment in the nation's health sector suffers for it, struggling to meet the stipulated standard. Although the country accounts for a significant number of five-star hospitals, most of which are private investment, but this is not enough.
If you do a 15% of our annual budget, you see that we're not even doing well at that. And what are these funds meant to be used for? One, these funds are meant to be used for building infrastructures, investing in research and development, also welfare of healthcare workers, which is one of the big reasons why people are leaving.
One of the highest contributors to medical tourism is no doubt the political elites, who often travel abroad to seek medical treatment in the face of crisis in the health sector. Poor primary healthcare system, poor facilities, brain drain, and disease outbreaks, amongst others.
Anybody that wants to open up a hospital, open up anything that has to do with healthcare should be zero tax. It should be zero tax so that you will encourage individuals, and they should have soft loans. It's not all hospitals that have minimal access equipment. So you might come in, a patient needs laparoscopy. You cannot afford a patient with laparoscopy. You have to refer, to another hospital and all that. So why would you have to do that? When you know that in most of these Western countries, most of the surgeries are purely minimal access, and most of the doctors are trained to do that. But for us, we have to pay out of pocket to go and do the training. Then you come in, you are restricted again in terms of people that are good. And even when you want to do that, most people might not even be able to afford your fees.
Experts have urged the government to concentrate on reversing medical brain drains, encouraging its best brains to return, increasing investment and budget for the health sector, and enforcing medical tourism apathy, as the country's doctor-to-patient ratio is being negatively impacted by an increase in medical brain drain and leaving doctors overwhelmed. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoka.
Many thanks, Adeshawa. Let's now join our sports desk for the latest in the world of sports.
In sport, the Super Eagles of Nigeria were defeated in a pre-AFCON friendly 2-0 by the Silly National of Guinea. Goals from Kamara Agüibu and Facinet Conte sealed the fate of the Super Eagles in this preparatory friendly ahead of the AFCON tournament. A pivotal moment occurred as Guinean goalkeeper denied Moses Simon a goal from the penalty spot, emphasizing the competitive nature of the match. In response to Guinea's second goal, Jose Peseiro strategically implemented changes, including Calvin Bassey, Frank Onyeka, and Alex Iwobi, to influence a positive shift for the Super Eagles. The team is scheduled to return to Nigeria for a send-off event on Tuesday night, just hours before their departure for Côte d'Ivoire to partake in the 34th Africa Cup of Nations finals commencing this weekend. Away from there now to women football, where coach Christopher Danjuma has named 19 Falconets for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifier against Burundi in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Captain Oluchi Ohegbulem, goalkeeper Faith Omilano, defender Shukurat Oladipo, and midfielder Taiwo Afolabi are among the selected players. Goalkeeper Shukura Bakare, defenders Jumoke Alani, Oluwabumi Oladeji, along with midfielders Ado Yina and Chima Olise are also part of the squad. The team, victorious in the first round against Tanzania, is set to depart Nigeria on Tuesday for the first leg encounter. South African official Nojabulo Nole Ndelela will referee the match as designated by the Confederation of African Football. And to wrap up sports updates, Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, would host special dinner for Super Eagles with Senator John Owaeno as co-host. Invited dignitaries include Governors Doye Diri, Sheyi Makinde, Sheriff Ogborevori, Abdullahi Sule, and Godwin Obaseki. President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusso, leads the event, joined by Lagos State officials, parliamentarians, NFF Executive Committee members, corporate partners, and sponsors. Kule Soname, Olusegun Odegbami, artists, celebrities, and influencers will also attend this event. The 25 selected players for Nigeria's AFCON campaign, along with officials, will arrive in Lagos on a chartered aircraft. After that, they will depart the city of Lagos for Abidjan on Wednesday. Nigeria opened its campaign against Equatorial Guinea on Sunday. We wish the team the best of luck. That wraps it up on Sports Update. I am Favor Itwa.
The very best of luck indeed to the Nigerian team. And that's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the big stories. President Tinubu has suspended Humanitarian Affairs Minister from office. Christian leaders in Plateau have urged government to proscribe militia as terrorists. We also brought you news that healthcare professionals are calling for a brain drain reversal. Do send your eyewitness reports to the number showing now on your screen. Or you can follow us on social media at News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you as always for your time. Have a good night.